Alright, these are my theory characters in Smash Ultimate. If you like this theory crafting style, I think you would like Fudge's Smash Ultimate anti-meta characters. Just going over characters who do good into the top 3 characters right now. I have noticed that the Lumi Rank Top 150 came out today, and some of the characters I said can do really good right now actually show up in the Lumi rankings. So if for some reason when this video comes out, people start thinking that the character I said can do really good right now is somehow jumps up tiers for some people, and I'm just saying the coldest take ever, just know this is a product of its time. Oops, my bad. I just want to make it clear as well that I'm not saying these characters are good or that they deserve to move up on the tier list. Not every time. Some characters belong where they are for a reason, but some characters just have surprisingly good matchups for no reason. Like if I said Little Mac actually goes even with Sonic because he punches really hard and is really fast. But it's still Little Mac and just gets back thrown once and bye-bye stock. So I'll make it clear when I think otherwise of what I'm saying. I think this character is underrated, or if I think this character belongs where they are in the tier list, in the official tier list. The bottom of the screen, that's the official tier list. I'm looking at characters outside of S and A tier. Otherwise, this would be super boring because I would say, oh yeah, Aegis beats Steve, Sonic, and Game & Watch, so use Aegis. Or Snake goes even with Game & Watch and beats Sonic and Steve. No, that'd be boring, that'd be lame. I'm looking at sleeper picks for a counter pick maybe. If you're like me and loses to the 12-year-olds at your tournaments who play Steve, just got out of soccer practice, their mom drove them. They only play for an hour every week when their homework's done, and they just grind Wi-Fi without knowing that they're comboing you. They just think they're holding the funny button. Because that's me. That's the position I'm in. I lose to people like that. What's the worst part is that they don't even stay for grands because mom says it's bedtime. It's 7:30, so we have to go. It's bedtime. You have school in the morning. So that's where I'm at. No, I'm just kidding. I play Game & Watch. Before you shame me, I've been playing him since day one. He's been my favorite character in all of Smash forever because he's a funny little goofy guy. He reminds me of Doodle Bob from SpongeBob. So, but I'm currently dabbling in other characters right now. I want to buckle down. I've had a character crisis like forever. So I'm finally sticking down with, I'm trying to main some S tier characters because I'm hype and awesome and cringe like that. I'm trying to play Game & Watch. I'm trying to learn Aegis right now. I'm trying to learn Snake because I think he's sick. And I'm trying to learn Min Min because she's the only DLC character I recognized. But before you like, I also play Ganondorf, so maybe like that cancels out, you know, please. I also play DK, right? Forgive me. Anyways, if this video does well, I want to make it clear that I have a anti-Game & Watch guide in the works showing you how to beat Game & Watch to the best of my knowledge. So if this video does well, I'll release it. Otherwise, you guys don't get that. A couple other things. Some of my takes may seem optimistic, and some of the references that I use in this video, like the top players, they seem really pessimistic about their characters. Like their matchup chart seems like, huh? Really? Like they really downplay their character and stuff like that. Anyways, this is just a theory. Moving on. I've rambled long enough. Ignore the low quality Sonic PNG. That's all I could find at the moment. These are the benefits that these characters have going for them. Look at Steve. He is a DLC character. Look at Sonic. He's fast. And look at Game & Watch. He's broken and based. They all have insane DPS. I don't know how relevant this is, but they all have weird animations. I don't know if You guys think the same thing? I think it's weird that Steve's tech anime or tumble animation and um, not tumble animation are so similar, if not the same. Sonic is always a ball, and Mr. Game Watch just has 4 different animations to choose from. So they have weird animations. I just want to make it clear. But Steve has jank on jank on jank. Game & Watch has half of the best moves in the game. Sonic has the Minecraft punch and a side B that is invincible and plus 11 on shield. I won't go over all this stuff, but maybe I will. Sonic plays for timeouts or just running in with his insane speed. Game & Watch plays for crazy, insane, heavy combos that start off of anything. And Steve goes for Diamond. Moving on. Things you need to stand a chance is range. Range is always nice to have, but these 3 characters all have similar characters that beat them when there's range involved. Like, of course, like I said, Aegis, the Swordies. So you might notice that. Sephiroth is a good example of what to look at. He has a huge sword, which allows him to have an advantage over Game & Watch and pierce through Steve's blocks, and a pretty campy style himself, which means action can be played wherever with Sonic. So Sephiroth could be like an example you look at for a character who's pretty mid, but somehow does pretty good against the 3 of them. You need to have a good enough recovery. Some characters can get away with this, like I said, Aegis again, because they may not have the best recovery, but somehow they make it back every time. So, but I'd say the biggest thing is patience and the ability to stay calm and relaxed and clear-headed, because a lot of these 3 characters in particular are so easy to pilot. So if you're playing a draining character like Diddy Kong and Princess Peach and Zero Suit Samus, you're going to be working way harder than your opponent has to. So you need to remain calm. If you can handle doing that, then some of these characters are good for you, like Zero Suit Samus, because she does fairly well into the 3 of them, despite having to work a lot harder. A cherry on top is a mechanic, of course, like a comeback mechanic or just something weird. A gimmick. I'll circle back around to this. I know. A good zoning method does help, because I say zoning method, I'm not saying like, oh, charge shot, yeah. Because Sonic sometimes doesn't care about it with a spin dash with the invincibility. Steve has a block, and Game & Watch has a bucket. So I'm not saying like a Samus charge shot type thing. I'm saying some characters have the ability to zone in different methods, which I'll come back to as well. You'll notice it comes full circle. Looking at the flaws that Steve has, or what beats Steve, is a similar resource like mining. A good example to think of is Hero Menu, where he can sit in the other corner of the stage getting diamonds of his own, essentially like bounce, psych up, and oomph, just ways to bulk yourself up. Because if you're lucky, like again with Hero, if you're lucky, you can be fully buffed before Steve gets diamond. But if you don't have a tool like that, then you need to approach Steve every single time. Big fat disjoint. To hit those blocks, essentially, you need to break blocks fast before he gets too much out of mining. He can get several resources within a couple seconds. So if you struggle to break blocks quickly, like that one time where Tweak just let Steve mine behind the wall because his throwing banana at the wall wasn't doing anything, and Diddy Kong's low tilt damage, or like forward tilt, does a good job at breaking blocks, but it's also one of the more punishable tilts that Diddy Kong has. So he wasn't trying to use that. Same thing goes for forward air, it can be punished. So, because Steve's crazy like that, he can punish Diddy Kong forward air. Versatile recovery. It needs to be versatile enough to the point where you can get around all of Steve's jank. He can put a block at ledge, you hit your head, bye-bye. But there's also tether recoveries that get to ledge every time. Except just kidding, Steve players know how to like blah blah blah. They know how to turn the ledge button off entirely. So having a tether isn't always a good option. So being able to, again, let's come back to Diddy Kong. He is a side B to get back to stage, or very long distance horizontal up B if you need to. He can go under the stage entirely to disengage from being at ledge. So stuff like that, where you have to make Steve guess how you're going to recover, because he can't. It takes time to set up all Steve's stuff, despite the setups being very quick. You need to be able to, make him choose an option, and hopefully you get the right one. Explosives do a great job versus Steve. When I play Snake into Steve, I feel very comfortable, because grenades are one of the very few projectiles that are able to deal with block because of the explosion hitbox destroying dirt blocks easily, and I think wooden as well. And it takes out several blocks at once, exposing him to the big scary military man. So characters with explosives like that, great. A strong air game, not just in the sense that like Palutena, who she has really strong aerials. I'm talking like damage it's doing. It needs to be able to clank with anvil or beat out anvil, which is impossible. You need to be able to have enough damage on your attacks to shred through blocks, or hopefully if you can get into the air fast enough. A lot of the time when Steve goes to recover high, you need to be able to smack him out of minecart. That's probably one of the biggest things. No, breaking block is bigger. If you don't have a versatile enough recovery, maybe be able to stall for long enough. But I guess that falls under the same thing. Just padding out my time, I guess. A good poking tool does great. Again, ZSS, Zaire. If a Steve does one block on the ground and then leaves that one block in the middle, so it's like a one block, like 3 blocks high and 1 block on the ground, leaving that one little window open, because they do that sometimes. I don't know if it's intentional or what, but a ZSS is able to poke through that with Zaire, or Joker Gun and Iha. Those go through it just fine, just to poke and do some chip damage. Or Pikachu T-Jolt. Those are great tools to have. Having speed is so crucial as well. If you have the ability to be fast in this matchup, it is magical, because you can either disengage from a Steve who is trying to combo you, you run away or jump away or whatever your character does fastest, or rushing in trying to punish something reckless. So like if Steve goes to build something, you can quickly get in and out. That's why Sonic is one of the best characters versus Steve, because he can use his speed aggressively and defensively at the same time, because Sonic is broken. Or that's what people think. I'm a Sonic denier. I know. I play those 4 characters I listed earlier. They all do really good into Sonic, so I don't know. I'm a Sonic denier. I don't think he's top 5, but I know I'm wrong. I've seen what Sonic's is capable of doing. I think that Sonic's is the reason Sonic is number 2 in the tier list. I've just never faced a Sonic that good, or good enough for me to think, wow, maybe I'm wrong. But I've also never played a character into a Sonic where I'm like, this is tough. So I know I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong. This character's broken, I know. But I just haven't experienced it myself yet, so. But I've also labbed this matchup a lot, and I noticed that there's a lot of versatile ways to beat Sonic. However, you need to do it very precisely, because Sonic also has ways to beat all these characters on screen right now. Sonic also has his way to exploit those characters as well. So you need to be able to exploit your character's abilities to exploit Sonic before he can do it to you. One of the ways you can do that is to be Roy or Fox. What I mean by that is being just hold forward, use your speed and damage output to destroy him before he has a chance to use his frame 18 side B or whatever that Sonic players like to downplay a lot. It's you need to get in there fast before he can do that. So Roy and Fox are two of the fastest characters and are able to keep up with Sonic in terms of when he tries to disengage, they can just follow him to the ledge or wherever he chooses to go. Roy and Fox can juggle Sonic if he takes off into the sky with an up B or whatever. Just holding forward towards Sonic, if you have the speed to do so, is a great tool. Aegis and ZSS, however, they have very good speed as well, but they play this matchup in a completely different way of poking away at Sonic using their speed. Aegis for sure has a speed to keep up with Roy and Fox and Sonic and stuff like that. Mythra has the speed to do so, but she can't get off as much as Roy and Fox can, so she has to do like chip damage over time with her combos and strings. Because Fox and Roy can finish off their combos that Mythra can not do on her own. She would need Pyra for that. And Pyra's only choice in this matchup is to just start swinging. Hopefully Sonic runs into her big sword eventually, right? And ZSS has to play this a whole lot more calculated. Going for like edge guards or gimps and poking a lot with Zair, but poking and knowing when to poke. You need to know when to poke with Zair, because if you're wrong, Sonic just charges in because of that 2 frame window where your Zair's recovering. Your Zair's like coming back into the little plasma gun. Sonic can just be right there point blank in front of you. So you need to be precise with it and how you do it and bait out options a lot. So ZSS and Aegis are a lot more bait and punishy. And they're probably the two better with punishers because Joker can struggle in this matchup a lot because if Arsene comes out, Sonic just says bye-bye and runs away before you can close out a stock. It's not the worst matchup. You can play Joker into Sonic, but if Arsene comes out, you're getting timed out. This one, the next two characters I say beat Sonic are tricky because I know Mega Man isn't necessarily a zoner as much as he is like a projectile brawler kind of character, but I've got a lot of 50-50 opinions from the Sonic players I've talked to. Some say Mega Man does good into Sonic, and then others say Sonic destroys Mega Man. So do not play Mega Man because some Sonic players feel confident into Mega Man. But Samus and Mii Gunner, however, do good. Very good. They have strong projectiles that can beat out spin dash and spin charge as long as they're not the invincible sections of the move. Because otherwise projectiles just clank with it and he gets out unscathed, especially if it's the aerial versions. You can, by charging up Charge Shot, if you use that with Mii Gunner, which you should, or don't play Mii Gunner. Anyways, using that against Sonic is a very strong tool, as well as Samus's ledge trapping goes really hard in this matchup, and I don't know what Mii Gunner does differently enough for me to say anything about it. Next is one of the more, Game & Watch and Yoshi, I'd say, are two characters who do really good into Sonic. Yoshi can go caveman mode and just start swinging, because Yoshi in the air is like crazy fast and can like just chase Sonic around. And being above Yoshi is terrifying with that strong up air. Yoshi Nair goes crazy. Deceptively big forward air. Yoshi is the aerial version of what Sonic is on the ground when he's charging up that spin dash and stuff like that. I'm just saying I think Yoshi does pretty good into this matchup, as well as Game & Watch, because what does Sonic do about Mr. Game & Watch spamming Nair? I don't know. because I've never been punished for doing it. That's all I do is Mr. Game Watch Nair, and I win sometimes, so that's cool. Snake and Pac-Man are two characters who do really good into Sonic because they just set up a trap. They put up a wall of either explosives or a hydrant that says, try getting past this. Which is really good because Snake can... I'm more experienced with Snake. Snake can hold a grenade, and Sonic cannot pass through his shield when charging, or else he gets hit. And Snake can convert a combo off of it. If the Snake is if Snake plays fast enough, can react to Sonic rushing in with a side B or down B, and up tilt to close out stocks. Snake can deny a large portion of the screen with all of its explosives. Same for Pac-Man. Recovering with Snake can be tricky because Sonic has back air and homing attack, but Pac-Man doesn't have that issue. And again, Snake is crazy good into Sonic, I think, and same goes for Pac-Man. Don't listen to Sonic's propaganda. Snake beats Sonic. It can be tricky because if Sonic learns to run in and grab, that's tough. Other than that, Snake has a huge advantage. Next is a character I'd say probably does best into Sonic is Corrin. Corrin has massive aerials and hitboxes. They all combo into themselves until 300%. Like Snake's up tilt, Corrin can react with pin to an approaching Sonic and close out stocks early if she gets the tipper, or it can just raw kick him, whatever she needs to do. She also has a very huge invincible up B with a big old hitbox and auto spacing back air, which I don't think does too much against Sonic if he shields it because he can dash in from crazy far, but she has that tool. Up air in case in case Sonic decides to take off into the sky with up B. I think Corrin is the best answer into Sonic. I think she beats him the hardest. I forgot to mention earlier, I think Cloud is probably the best option for Steve as well. And next is Mr. Game & Watch. Basically what you need to do against Mr. Game & Watch is have a sword. That's it. I think people overhype Mr. Game & Watch. Just kidding. You need a tool that can deal with his up air or chef at ledge, because those two moves can turn entire matchups on their heads. Like the Cloud matchup, Cloud struggles getting off a ledge when Mr. Game Watch is just using chef. So a character like Cloud that you think would do pretty well into Game Watch, it's probably like even. I don't think Cloud is too hard for Game Watch once Mr. Game Watch gets a back air in on him, because Mr. Game Watch has essentially what Min-Min's range is when it comes to edge guarding, because he can throw out a wall of back airs that you have to deal with. Or if you go above him, you can just end up getting upbeat further off stage. Or his invincible upbeat can beat out even the strongest of moves because it's invincible. Like, he can contest characters like Ridley upbeat if they try to recover horizontally. Or vertically, he can gimp that way because it sends at an awful angle. Or stage spike you if you miss the attack. And he recovers for free. He covers every direction, every way. So if you can't get back to stage, you lose. So that's why Aegis and Cloud and Chrom are all characters who should do well into Game Watch, but he turns the matchup on its head. Same goes with moves like Up Air and Chef. Like I said, if you can't get off a ledge or you can't escape disadvantage, then, oh well, that's just a -2 matchup for you, and Mr. Game Watch gets easy wins off of you and farms you and lols. Good ways to deal with tools like Mr. Game Watch's up air is having multiple double jumps, like Pit, and using his arbiters as his down B as like a B reverse option to mix up your pathing. But even still, I want to make it clear that Do not use reflectors against Mr. Game Watch up air. That will get you punished because his up air isn't going to hit him. It travels too slowly for him to get hit by, and you just put yourself in a bad situation where he's just going to do another up air. Oh well. However, Pit's reflector, that's good because it can shift his momentum. Or ZS has flip kick for getting off ledge if you can get over him. Or even escaping up air juggles. That's a really good tool. Having a scary option to close out Mr. Game Watch's stocks as well. Like Roy jab back air works on Game Watch at like 60. It's ridiculous. He's a featherweight, being the third lightest character in the game, tied with Squirtle. I think Olimar as well. Don't quote me on that one. I know he's tied for Squirtle though. He is a featherweight. He is so ridiculously light, moves will KO him earlier than you think. Unless you can't get that one little hit on him, in which case, again, that's a -2 matchup for you. Recovering against Game Watch is like playing Cuphead. I already talked about that. He covers everything. One of the characters that do best into Mr. Game Watch is Zero Suit Samus. You'd think. Don't believe the propaganda either about Sonic Susaru's matchup. That's not true either. He beats Sonic or goes even. Zero Suit Samus is really good, but if you can call out her recovery, because he can cover everything, even Zero Suit Samus with her 30 different recovery options can still get caught and put in a bad spot, because if she doesn't have one of her tools, if she doesn't have her jump, or if she doesn't have her down B, then she's in a really bad situation. However, she's still probably one of the best characters into him, despite not having a sword. Seriously, you cannot underestimate how powerful a sword is. And if you're going to pick a sword, like Marth or Lucina, pick Marth. Marth is probably one of the better Fire Emblem characters into him. Just want to make that clear. Not the best, though, because we'll get to that one. Oh, now we're talking about the characters who I think are really good. Shulk. Yep. I know I said I want to be talking about the A-tier characters, but I have to bring up Shulk. I'm breaking my own rules already. Shulk is broken. I'm still a believer. All you people who don't think that he's an insane character are wrong. He has the single best move in the entire game. People who think it's Steve up tilt or Steve jab or block are wrong. I don't think block is the best move in the game. It's easily the second best move in the game. It's a very close competition between block and Monado Arts, but I gotta give it to Monado Arts. This move is... He also has a big sword, which, like I said, beats Game & Watch, beats Steve. The matchup chart for Shulk right there is on screen. With Monado Arts, he gets the speed to contest Sonic, which I already talked about how important it is to be able to keep up with Sonic in terms of speed. Buster Art gives him Steve Diamond tools damage, or Inkling with max ink on you damage, or Kazuya with Rage Art mechanic. Like, it's Smash Art is like having Arsene on Pyra. It's insane. It's insanely strong. With Jump Monado, he gets the ability to recover over all ledge trapping scenarios, over all edge guarding attempts. He recovers to center stage every time. It's like Hero Zoom with Shulk Jump Art. Even if you somehow manage to hit him out of his double jump and he's close enough to stage, he gets enough drift where he can still probably ledge snap with up B. And he has a get out of jank free card. The only thing I can compare it to is like playing with a Spirit on. Right there's the absolutely safe capsule, which exists. Not that I'm a nerd who knows about spirits or anything. What? But it has 10,000 defense power, whatever that means. So basically, it's like taking no damage at all whatsoever or knockback. That's essentially what it is when you're Shulk in Shield Art. That's all you need is that one best move in the game and a pretty good sized sword. So next is Pokemon Trainer. Yeah, this is another character I believe in. I'm breaking my rule again. This character is also slept on still. Each Pokemon is super effective into one of the top 3 characters, I'd say. Squirtle, being a tiny little fella, is the combo guy. He is the speedy little blah blah blah. He has great combos and pretty good hitboxes on his stubby little moves. Combo off of any one of his moves, and he always gets one of those moves in to start up a combo. You take 60% at least. And then, so I'd say Squirtle does best into Sonic. I think Squirtle can keep up with, he may not have the ground speed to do so, but he has the frame data to call out and react to Sonic approaching and like deal with it. Ivysaur, to those of you who know, DD versus Jake, I believe it was, Ivysaur destroys Steve because Ivysaur has an up air to contend with Steve's down air and raw cheese at ledge with, the down air. Tether recovery, question mark, because like I said, Steve's can sometimes delete the ledge option entirely. So be careful. But Ivysaur forward air just melts blocks from a safe distance with the Vine Whip, or the Vines, I guess, and can close out stocks pretty early if the right setup happens with like a side B, or up air, or whatever, or the down air, up smash, and stuff like that. Ivysaur can close out stocks like crazy and break blocks and shred through that stuff no problem. And having a frame one escape option isn't bad either. And then Charizard, believe it or not, I'd say is one of the harder matchups for Game & Watch. I don't think it's a bad matchup or anything, but I'd say it's surprisingly close. Charizard, again, has raw strength. Like a Charizard back air threatens Game & Watch stocks at 50 to 60%. And Charizard usually comes out when there's rage involved, when the Pokemon trainer has rage. And so that, I'm not even kidding when I said I have good DI, but I've still been KO'd by a max rage Charizard at center stage by a tipper, sweet spot, back air. I've been traumatized. So Charizard is a heavyweight, and Game Watch can struggle to take stock sometimes if you stay very airborne. However, Charizard is also really good on the ground, where he can poke safely on Mr. Game Watch's shield with a forward tilt. And Game Watch has to be really careful against Charizard because Charizard has that, frame 5 up smash at a shield, and escape option sometimes with up B as well. That's fully super armored up. And Flare Blitz has super armor too if you need to use that to recover. So that's nice for not being easily edge guarded. And Charizard again has multiple jumps, meaning he can escape a juggle situation fairly easily. But he does have a big body, so he might get clipped by more up airs than he should. So, again, being a big character does mean you're in an awful situation against Game & Watch. But I think if any big character does good into Game & Watch, it's definitely Charizard. If not Bowser, I would say Bowser is an honorable mention there for that too. But gosh, that back air! Ugh! Anyways, next character, Toon Link. I had to include it last minute. Level 1 broke top 50 with Toon Link. Now, the matchup chart on the right is by Joe the Hobo. Game Watch is seen as even, as well as Rob, Snake, Min Min, Diddy Kong, who are very, very relevant characters. Loses to a lot of the top tiers, you'll notice. Steve is a -1, not a -2 though, so doable. Sonic is potentially even, so just play very defensive. You beat Samus, you beat Yoshi, you beat Wario, you beat Kazuya and Terry. Ooh, this character is slept on. It's debatable if Toon Link is better than Young Link, but Toon Link right now in this meta is definitely the best pick. I don't play Young Link, nor do I play Toon Link well enough to tell you why that is or what he does differently. But I want to say that Toon Link has covers a lot more with his sword, for example. Think about his forward tilt. Each hit I feel like is stronger and covers more. So that being able to hit a lot of the campy playstyle characters is really big, and having a sword into Game Watch is just really good in general. But you also have poking tools in the form of a Zair that sends in an awful angle, or your arrows that travel a long distance. You can switch very easily between, hey, I'm going to hit you with a sword now, or I'm going to camp you now. You have very good defensive options in the form of like forward tilt that covers everything, has a final smash size hitbox. You have the up B at a shield. You can poke very easily with down tilt and stuff like that. And again, having a bomb is really good right now because Steve and Sonic are two characters who have a hard time dealing with bombs, to say the least. Also, your ledge trapping is pretty solid, especially when your forward tilt hits at ledge the way it does and sends it the angle that it does. Pretty good. You'll notice he struggles with characters who have better speed than him or a very suffocating offense like Aegis or Steve or Fox. But keep in mind, Steve isn't that bad of a matchup. Sonic is maybe losing, but Game Watch is even. And right now, in this kind of meta, with a simple character like Toon Link, he might be nice to have in the pocket. Next is Ike. I know I was going to come back to it. This is the best Fire Emblem character into Mr. Game Watch. This might be Mr. Game Watch's worst matchup. His Nair is gigantic. You'll notice he has three things going for him. His sword is huge. His sword is strong. And his recovery works. His recovery is scary with Game Watch because if you're trying to send out a wall of back airs and he's side B'ing you, his sword beats out your back air. Despite you having a very large disjoint, his is bigger and can hit you for it. And then he can just choose to up B if it hits. Or he doesn't need to burn his double jump with side B at the angles Mr. Game Watch usually sends at, unless it's at sour spot down smash. It is usually sending at a high enough angle where he can not use his double jump and still recover back to stage. Your range is gigantic and can safely pressure Game & Watch from a safe distance. And if you panic up Bs, you get up aired at 70, bye-bye Game & Watch. It also looks like he beats Yoshi and Snake, which is also a very relevant character. A lot of people see him as top 5. And then Kazuya and Steve being also solid wins. That's huge. This character is bottom 15. How? And then he also does Psycho Kid or Psychode sees Sonic as winning or even. Like this matchup chart is insane. Keep in mind, I found these matchup charts off of the Reddit where there's a compilation of the best players of each character in their matchup chart. I found this and my eyes came out of my head because I know Ike is said to do really well to Steve and destroys Game & Watch, but this matchup chart is fairly impressive. I think the reason he's so low is because everyone plays Rob. That's it. I think the fact that he's even with Ganondorf is crazy, I will say, because Ganon has one even matchup with Dr. Mario and that's it, but... So I do have some disagreements with the matchup chart, but I will say it got a lot of things right. By beating Game & Watch, by beating Steve, by beating Kazuya and Snake. Snake's questionable, but Ike landing grabs on Snake sets up for a lot of great situations for Ike, so I can see it. The characters he loses to, I totally agree with. That makes a lot of sense. I can see that being the way it is. I don't know Ken well enough to tell you why he's a hard lose, but I just know that Ike is broken because I'm a Game Watch player with bias. Ike is terrifying. Pick this character up. He's also simple and easy, and look at that. He does really good into a lot of characters, and there's no denying it. He does really solid into a lot of characters. And for how easy he is, everyone should have a pocket Ike. He's like why does everyone play Corrin when you can play Ike? I don't get it. And he's cool. Ike is just objectively cool, which is the worst part because he's such a pain for me. Speaking of characters who do really well into Game Watch, this is potentially Mr. Game Watch's worst matchup. If you ask Meister, he's going to say Rosalina Luma. I think it's Ike, but who am I to tell you who a character loses to? Because I'm not the top player here. For one thing, there's two of them. That's straight up cheating. That's rude. That's evil. You can bully Game & Watch, for example, really hard from a distance with the fact that Luma is essentially just your sword. It is a sword that you can control, like how Pyra throws her sword, except you can control it. It has an entire moveset. Also, Rosalina and Luma have the B reverse down B to mix up recovery because Mr. Game Watch can up air juggle you if you have that tool. And it's not like PSI Magnet where you can't absorb it. Nope, you can straight up just absorb it. And you can absorb multiple things at once as well. So you can use it to get off ledge. You can use Luma as a meat shield. Yeah, this character does have a lot of things going for her in terms of beating Diddy Kong and Rob and Samus. Very prominent characters. And Mr. Game & Watch especially is insane. She can send Luma out there to bully Sonic and Pikachu and Pokemon Trainer, which is like, she goes even with a lot of characters who are pretty threatening. She has insane stage control with Luma, but she's also super floaty with a really good and fast recovery. So if she needs to stall for a few seconds to get Luma back, not impossible. She can totally do it. So long as she's not chased out there because her up B doesn't have a hitbox on it or anything. So you gotta be careful with doing that. So she loses to a lot of characters who just have strong enough, like big enough disjoints or Roy speed. But yeah, that's usually how it goes, huh? You find a good solid mid tier and then look at their matchup chart and you're like, oh, Roy's a -2. Same goes for Ike that we just saw. I'm gonna be so honest. Duck Hunt is maybe the character I have the second highest hopes in that I'm talking about. Duck Hunt has so much going for him that nobody's talking about because Snake exists. Let's be real, how bad can a trapper be? Like, I think that Isabelle and Link are some of the worst trappers in the game. I don't think Duck Hunt comes close. Because there's a lot of really good trappers right now. Steve is not as much of a trapper as he is just a jank lord. But Snake and Pac-Man are like insanely good. And they're both like peak trapper. But Duck Hunt is just bad Snake. This matchup chart right here shows that he loses to Game & Watch. Yes, that's true. It loses to a lot of high and top tiers. Truly unfortunate. But he goes even with Steve and Sonic. Because, like, if a can be sent behind Steve's wall, he's never safe. And if a Sonic is considering heading your direction, you have 2 frame 1 projectiles that can explode the same way Snake's does. And I already talked about how Snake does really good into Sonic and Steve. You have insane stage control, like comparable to Steve and Sonic themselves. Your projectiles start combos. You've get out of jail free cards with Can and stuff like that. Nobody knows the Duck Hunt matchup, so you can be like, you can counterpick like that. I think this character, every time I start to think this character is underhyped and just downplayed a lot, I look at their matchup and I'm like, yeah, that's true. Yeah. So I can't really say that this character is really downplayed at all because he does lose to a lot of characters. But he's also so solid too. He goes even with so many relevant characters. But he loses to other characters. but he goes even. I'm just saying. This character is. He makes me feel a lot of things. I like Duckhand a lot. So maybe I'm biased. But you haven't experienced bias yet until you see my next character. This is Inkling. She was my most wanted character in the entire game. Splatoon is my favorite series. So forgive me for being biased. This matchup chart right here is made by a really experienced Inkling player, really seasoned. Me. I made this Inkling matchup chart. Like I said, I'm very optimistic when I look at things. I know, like, she should be losing to Rob and Pac-Man, but I don't get it, because she can harass Rob off stage for recovering slowly. So, she's one of very few characters who can drain his fuel. Inkling just has, I think she does insanely good versus a lot of relevant characters. She has insane. Okay, get a good look at the matchup chart, because I'm moving on to the next slide where I talk more in depth about it. So yes, I made this matchup chart, and my Inkling is probably not one of my most played characters anymore, but I still play her a lot, a good amount, to confidently make a matchup chart and say this is what I believe. I do think that the most surprising character is Ness. She surprisingly does have a hard time with Ness. The Absorb, man. The Absorb is so annoying. She has a lot of gimmicks of her own, which, you know, it makes you see why, oh yeah, she was a day one top tier, wasn't she? But I think she's solid. I think that if anyone is underplayed in this game, it's Inkling. I know, I'm biased. I know. I think she beats Sonic. I think because she is, I think Splattershot alone is a really good, hey Sonic, I'm denying you from coming near me at all. And if you do, you're taking 30%. Booyah is a nice thing to have. It's very easily played around for a lot of characters and ineffective against other characters. However, having it is very threatening. Imagine it, like, because you gotta consider it like it's DK Ding Dong combo, right? Because that's essentially what it is, but it's a lot worse. But it exists, so you have to respect it at certain percents. Her back air is a behemoth. I think it's a top 5 back air. I don't know. It's an honorable mention to the top 5 backers in the game. It's no DK or Cloud or Charizard back air or anything, but it's a good one. It's a good one. It's huge. She's a low profile, which means that if Steve is like does a jump panic minecart, she can just low profile run under it. Punish. She's insanely fast. Her dash dance is phenomenal, so it can bait out panic options from a lot of characters. Her ledge trapping is some of the best, because the Splat Bomb covers so much, and a down smash as well. It sends at an awful angle. I wish I could say her roller was good, because roller is my favorite weapon to use in Splatoon 3. It's a great sharking weapon. Anyways, I wish I could say it's good. It's not. She is one of the best characters at edgeguarding in the game, because again, that back air sending at a nasty angle that it does. Her forward air isn't great, but it's a very strong move if it hits. So it's capable of knocking Steve out of his minecart, but it's pretty slow, which is the sad part. Again, I cannot talk about Splattershot enough. That move is so slept on. It's probably one of the best neutral specials of the entire game, if I'm being honest. Top 15, and there's a lot of good ones. It does insane damage. Insane. She destroys Snake. I gotta mention, I think Inkling is Snake's worst matchup. If you think it's Game & Watch, you're wrong. Snake has really good boxing options to just brawl with Game & Watch, which is crazy, because Game & Watch has insanely good boxing options, but Snake is just as good, which is, whew. Her movement's insane. I think I can double this video's length, which is already too long, but talk about how good I think Inkling is, but I won't. She is just, I'm going to keep it simple. She has the speed and poking tools to deal with Sonic. I think she beats Sonic the best out of the 3 of them. She goes even with Steve, I'd say, because she has similar damage output to him. despite not being able to close stocks as well as him. And Michigan, which is probably really hard for her, one of the harder matchups for her, because of his ability to absorb a lot of her cheese and stuff like that. And having just as good, if not better, recovery than her in the form of his up B alone. So yeah. So please buff Inkling. She's my favorite character. That's the video. Again, I don't play a lot of these characters, so if you do, tell me what I got wrong or what you think your character can do or why your character loses to Steve, because let's be real, I'm really optimistic. I'm just trying to help the competitive scene a lot because I know a lot of people struggle with these characters, and I feel guilty because I play one of those 3 characters who run the top. And again, I'm releasing a Game & Watch guide on how to beat him because I do really want the best for this game because I love the game. And you do too, so like and subscribe. But yeah, that's the video, and I'm probably live streaming a few times a week, so check it out. Thank you for watching.